It's your boy Shimigami X, aka Captain X. I'm your leader of Squad X and your president of Squad 00. And today I'm going to be covering quite a controversial topic on my channel. But before we get into that, let's go into things right after that intro. Alright guys, now that I've put the kind of disclaimer in the intro, let's just get into things. Today what I'm going to be reviewing for you is none other than the Avatar, The Legend of Korra season finale. And now the reason I said that this is going to be such a controversial video, or a video that contains a controversial topic, is simply because of this. Is the ending of the Avatar, The Legend of Korra was something that somewhat shocked a lot of people. Yeah, some people predicted it, but then in terms of like, you know, how things go in terms of children's TV programs, it's quite controversial. Now, while we're on the topic of children's TV programs, I do think that the way that the season was handled was done very well. I do think that the ending was handled very well, and the way that's put together, and in terms of production, animation, and story writing, was done very well, and everything makes sense. And now the reason I'm going to say that is because the people who write Avatar: The Legend of Korra, they moved it away from being a children's TV program, and that basically has changed my standpoint on how I was going to go about doing this video. And the reason I say that is because I'll be quite blunt with you. I'm a heterosexual male. I don't support, like, you know, same-sex marriages, same-sex relationships. And before I get into things, I'm going to say this though, that if you are in a same-sex marriage or relationship, I'm completely fine with that. I won't judge you, I won't discriminate against you. I'm just saying that me personally, that's not what I'm down for. So with all that being said, I thought what the problem of that was that, okay, you're introducing something like that to a children's TV program, and that's where I had some serious gripes with it. And then this video is going to be very different to how it was, to how it is now. But upon me finding out certain things, doing additional research, thanks to Charles Anime World sending me a link, giving me an article about like where the creators were planning to take the series from the get-go, and the fact that the reason they decided to do this in the first place was because that they moved it away from being a children's, TV program. It's now somewhat more acceptable. Although I disagree with it for my own personal beliefs, I understand it is somewhat acceptable now. In terms of a story, and how things make sense and how things tie up, it does make sense, and it makes sense very well, and it wraps up things very well between Asami and Korra. That's what I'm talking about in particular, like, you know, their relationship and the way things turn out in the end. Now, I've already stated that, you know, I'm not really a supporter of, like, you know, same-sex relationships, but nonetheless, while in the context of the entire series, it makes sense and it works out very well. All the while I don't agree with it. But that doesn't make the series bad. So please understand that just because I don't agree with something personally, that doesn't make a series bad as a whole. One little aspect can't make a series bad, and in fact, the ending didn't deter from the basically the 2 episodes of the season finale. Now, overall, as the season finale goes, it was done very, very well. Animation, pacing, the story plot, and the way it wrapped things up was done very, very well. For example, also the way that things ended off with Korra and Moko, it was done very, very well. Even that we get to see him, like, you know, use lightning abilities at the very end. We see that basically Team Avatar, emotionally there's closure, and then basically as, like, you know, in terms of combat and everything, there's closure as well. He's done a very good job of adding closure to the series, which I personally think that Avatar: The Legend of Aang done a better job of adding closure to the series, because there was this overall goal, if that makes sense. Whereas with Korra, there wasn't like this overall objective. So for example, in Avatar: The Legend of Aang, what you had, the overall objective was to stop the Fire Nation from basically destroying the entire world. Now in this one, in Avatar: The Legend of Korra, you have several basically mini bosses as per se. But these mini bosses, as well as they go out to destroy the world. So in essence, Avatar Korra has done more for the world than Avatar Aang has, but because there wasn't a running theme throughout the entire series from season 1, 2, 3, and 4, it doesn't have that same level of impact. So, like, you know, you've reached a final conclusion. But in the same sense, I'm going to tell you this, that it's better than Avatar: The Legend of Aang, for the simple fact that it actually adds more of a level of closure and more. And I'd say there was more character development, because take for example the first season. The first season was definitely about equality. The second season was about balance. The third season was about basically freedom and independence, and then the fourth season was basically about bringing things together, like, you know, like uniting and like being together. So basically the main villains of the series, they all had a message behind them as to why they were evil and why they did things a certain way. Yes, it was very extreme. We can't deny that it was very extreme, but there was a method to their madness. Whereas when you look at somebody like Zuko's father, I forget his name in Avatar: The Legend of Aang. I forget his name now, and that's really gonna bug me. Oh man, how can I forget his name? Fire Lord Ozai. When you look at Fire Lord Ozai, he was basically just a madman that wanted complete power and dominance over the world. Very similar to that of Korra. So if you look at it in that instance, Korra and Fire Lord Ozai had very similar ideals in the sense that they wanted their nation to be together as one. But whereas Fire Lord Ozai went to a different extreme about it when it basically wanted to eradicate all other, nations. Whereas Korra didn't want that. What Korra wanted was she wanted to unite the entire Earth nation. But here's the thing though, the reason why she had to be stopped is not just simply because she's killing innocent people. It's because when you come across people that are very dictatorish, is that they don't stop. Once they get what they want, they don't stop. As humans, once we acquire something that we want and we've desired for a long time, we don't stop. It's like, for example, a typical male's mentality is that once he acquires the woman that he wants, he'll be happy for a period of time, but then eventually he'll move on. Yes, there are men such as myself which, can be happy with one woman, be cool with that, but that's just human nature in a sense. Like, for example, once a woman or a man achieves a life goal that they wanted, they now have a new life goal. It doesn't just stop there. It's almost a sense as though we're never satisfied. So Korra would never have stopped with the Earth Empire. She would have eventually moved on to the other nations and tried to conquer them too, as with all dictators try to do in the end, or all conquerors in a sense. Now, I think that the character development of Avatar Korra was better than that of Avatar Aang, for the simple fact that you can see that she's been through more. Yes, Avatar Aang went through the process of losing his entire the entire air nomads that were wiped out, and he was the only airbender left at the time. But Korra's been through a lot more. She's been through relationship breakups. She's been through basically essentially losing her powers, losing herself, going through depression, not being able to walk, trying to recover from being a cripple, and also trying to establish a new world order. So in a sense that she's done more than Aang, and in the overall picture, people may disagree with me for this, but she's a better Avatar than Avatar Aang was. Avatar: The Legend of Korra expanded upon the Avatar universe in a way that I did like quite a lot. Like, for example, before we didn't know anything about the first Avatar. We knew that yes, there were avatars before Aang, and basically it's an ongoing chain. We didn't know how that chain worked. We didn't know what the source of the power of the Avatar was. Now that we know that the source of the Avatar's power is the spirit of Rava, and then there's obviously the negative side to that, which is Vatu. We didn't know that before. We didn't know about Wang, the first Avatar. We didn't know about we didn't know so much about the spirit world. We didn't know that basically at a time where spirits and humans did live together in somewhat harmony. Well, I say harmony, it was more a case of fear, because they had to stay on the lion turtles cities on their backs. But nonetheless, you see my point. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this review of mine of Avatar: The Legend of Korra season finale, and as the season as a whole. Overall, my opinion of it was a very good series, and it was done very well. Animation, story-wise, pacing, progression, and character development was done very, very well. And I can't complain. And although the ending was something that displeased me personally, don't let my personal distaste for same-sex relationships or things of that nature put you off the series, because as a whole it was a very good series and it was very well done. Although I don't support that, I don't judge somebody that is into that kind of thing, or is in a same-sex relationship. I don't judge, but it's something that's not for me, and it's something that I won't take a part in, and I don't support that. But nonetheless, that's just my personal views. I hope you guys have enjoyed this chapter review of mine. Damn, I'm so used to doing Bleach. I hope you guys have enjoyed this review of mine of Avatar: The Legend of Korra, a season finale and season as a whole. I'm your boy Shimigami X, aka your Captain X. I'm your leader of Squad X and your president of Squad 00. I'm signing out, and as always, my people, take care and peace. And remember, as I always say, keep it 99+1. You do the math.